guys, I'm going to teach you how to reupholster this ugly stained white chair. You know, I'm going to turn it into something beautiful and lovely. And you won't need to sew anything. You just need a hot glue gun and stapler, and among other things I'll show you. In this video, you will need a hot glue gun, fabric scissors, a butter knife, or whatever knife you want to use that's pretty, like, not too sharp, so you can use it to push it in cracks. A stapler gun, 5/16 staples right there. That's the size of it. And this is optional. This is what it's called, Home Creative DIY Decorative Pen 7/16. So these are nice to put in, you know, on edges to hide staple mistakes or whatever you want to do with these. They look good, very good. And that is the name of the stapler. First things first, we're gonna start removing all these pins out of the chair. They're like stuck in there. We're gonna move it to the best to our knowledge, so that way we can repin it with our own pins. Now we're just gonna rip this one off right here to kind of use it as a tracing mechanism. But we're just winging it, guys. Winging it, because it would have costed $800 just to get this done. Heck no. We're gonna put the big head part on first, because I'm figuring this is easier to kind of work with right now. We're gonna put the blanket on over it, and we're gonna kind of mold it to its shape and tuck it in the sides. The best thing about upholstering is, like, you could totally just tuck it in your chair in a couch, which kind of helps you mold it in there. Now that we got the front tucked, we're kind of measuring out the back now where we need to cut some off. We're gonna leave like a little bit on the edge of it, guys, if you're wondering, because underneath is the best part. We can flip the chair over it and staple it and glue it in that way. And now that we got that cut, we can kind of start working with it. So what we're doing here is we're pushing it into the cracks of this chair, which is the best. Just shove it in there best way you can. You can also use a screwdriver to push it in there, which helps like a flathead. So that helps get it in there. Taking the sides and we are tucking it in, molding the shape. It's kind of like wrapping a Christmas present in a way. So you're wrapping the chair in it and you're finding every crease and crevice and shoving it in there. Now that we wrap the front up pretty well for now, we are back to the back of the chair and we're using the kitchen butter knife again and pushing it in those little tiny cracks that you can't tuck in by hand. You gotta really use some tools to shove it in there because it really works. Now that we tucked it in to the best we could, we are going to get the bottom sort of tucked in now. Okay, the extra little pieces, guys, we're gonna staple that. By the way, guys, this is a 5/16 staple. If you want to know what size to use, look for the 5/16 staple. It's thick. Now we're gonna staple the back to get that bottom part secure. This is a heavy duty stapler. Be careful. If you get this, guys, careful. Do not injure yourself. Since this is a glider chair, we are taking the bottoms off. This will make it easier for working with this fabric here for us. Now we're just going to cut off the parts so we can start wrapping it easier, because it's very hard to kind of mold it. Very complicated. So we have to kind of cut it and just mess around with it. Like I said, guys, it's just like wrapping a Christmas present or a birthday present. Now we're going to take a staple gun and staple the bottom of this part in there, the part that we tucked in. And we're pressing it against the part that is not the fabric-y, squishy part, it's against wood. So that will put through very well. So that way no children or no people can pull this out. Now take your long fabric piece over here and start tucking it in on the edges of your chair over here. If your chair is anything like this, then you're going to want a long piece to work with. And then we're going to staple it, and then we're going to cut it after we staple some pieces in, because that way it's easier to work with. Okay, now we're going to cut off all the extra blanket so that way we can use it on other parts of the couch. Kind of helps a lot when you have a lot to work with, so make sure you guys get a lot extra. We are using a glue gun to kind of press it down so that way we don't have to use staples all over, because then it'll look sort of hideous. But the glue gun is good for folding folds over, and this fold will stay here. It doesn't look that bad, actually. It looks alright. It doesn't bother me at all. But like I said, it's kind of hard to wrap presents sometimes, guys, right? You're not going to always get it perfect, but it looks wonderful like that. Now we're just doing the same thing. We have our big long blanket piece and we're tucking it in all the other sides, and we're just going to kind of repeat what we did to everywhere else. Like I said, on the edges use your stapler, and if there's folds where you don't want the staple to show, just use your hot glue gun. And remember guys, after you staple it or tuck it in, cut it out. Once you have your shape that you like, cut it out and cut the stuff off. So you guys remember the thing we pulled off earlier? If your couch or chair could do that, take it apart and just like fold fabric over it. It makes it super easy too. So that way you don't have to like cut out a whole thin stencil, because this has padding inside of it. So we're just gonna try that out and then stick it and staple it to the couch. Alright, now that I push one through, we're gonna test it out and we're gonna hammer it in, because those are technically like nails. And voila, that is hammered in there. Now as you guys can see, we stapled all the edges now here to make sure it's secure. So as soon as you get it tucked in the way you like it, staple the edges against any wood of the chair, which helps. If it's just fabric, it's not gonna go through and cushion. So you have to make sure you go to the edges, because that's usually where the wood would be at. See that? And it gets it so flat and secure and clean. And we did use glue here just to get this a little more flat.